good evening. Welcome to the Business of Property. I'm your host, Cheryl Leong from Property Development Australia. At the Business of Property, we interview superstar guests in the property development space that share their expertise, their deals, and their stories to help empower, build, and grow our community of property developers and investors. So hello to Facebook land, LinkedIn, YouTube. Give me a shout out if you're here with us today in the comments section below or to the right or wherever it is. Our guest tonight is the CEO and founder of Rise Up Property. He's been in the property industry and doing development and property options for over 20 years. And from his experience in the industry over the last 2 decades, has really developed strategies for securing deals in the market with very low, what we'd say, holding costs, minimum money down, and has made this possible for his clients to basically emulate. And what I love as well is often he says this is a great strategy for people who are starting up in the property development space. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce to you Joe Macri, who will join us on the Business of Property dance floor. Hello, Joe. How are you?
Hello, Cheryl. Doing very well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today. And I know quite a few of your fans, may I say, when we put out the event, were like, Joe's the man. So it's really great to see that you're making an impact in this industry.
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. Appreciate it. So good to be here. Well, so good to meet you personally a few weeks ago. And yeah, I'm very excited about the session. So happy to share some knowledge with your group. I'm very excited about it.
Fantastic, Joe. Thank you. So the title for tonight is really around options, and whether they are the superpower for the developer. And for those of you, let's just sort of peel it all back. And even before that, tell us a little bit about your story, Joe. How did you get into the development space to begin with? And then the next level is why options?
Yeah, okay, Cheryl. Yeah, so my story goes back a number of years. So I did all those traditional things. I went to uni, I educated myself, I got some letters after my name, decided to be a professional person. And I had a business, and I ran my business for about 10 years and just wasn't making ends meet. I had 4 properties, negatively geared. I had my business, but I was struggling. I was doing the buy and hold thing. I did a few renos. I wasn't really making the sort of money I thought you would make in property or was told you would make. And then I sort of went on a bit of a journey of self-discovery, education, and I found out about developing and like, wow, there's some pretty good money in this. But for most people out there, or most people can relate, you need a fair bit of money to start, to do your own development. And also there's the risks involved. So, what if you buy a site? What if it has an easement? What if it has asbestos in the soil? What if there's something wrong and you've spent, $1 million or a couple $1 million on a site and you can't develop it? I'm sure it's happened to many people out there. Look, that's when I stumbled across options. So I had a few developer mates who were doing it in a big way. And it's just a great way, as you said here, the superpower. It's a great way to introduce risk management into your developing. Yeah.
I really like the word that you're using there, risk management. So let's peel it back to options 101. What are options? Are they a tool? Are they a strategy? What are they really?
It depends, Cheryl. I look at options in 2 ways. So you've got 2 sorts of people using options. You've got the one person who wants to get out there, find a site off market, tie that site down, and then quickly flip it on to a developer or a builder for a profit. Now, many people ask me, oh, Joe, do we need to get a DA? Do we need to get approvals? Do we need permits? Do we need to do a pre-lodge? No, none of the above. And that baffles some people. That's one way to go. The other way with the option is for the developer. So for the developer who's like, well, I don't want to put down 200K, 300K, 500K into a site. I don't want to pay holding costs. And I don't want to take on the risk of, what if I can't get my approval? What if I can't get 11 lots? What if I can't get 18 townies? I'm going to be in trouble. So they're sort of the two main people who are doing options.
Yeah. And that was one of my first questions to you, Joe, because I was sort of keen to understand how you were serving your clients or your students. And I said, oh, Joe, are you teaching them to add value through a DA and everything else? And you said, no, actually, it's just securing the site, which again baffled me, because I was like, okay, well, how are they then making the money? And I guess this is what you're teaching. But again, it's sort of challenging the traditional mindset of one using options to control a property without actually owning it, but also, like I mentioned very early on, it's a great tool or strategy for those that are starting up and who don't really have a lot to. But you've got to do your due diligence.
Absolutely. So you're going to have lots of different people in the room, Cheryl. I know you have an amazing community and a very diverse community. So for the developer, for the builder, whoever's out there watching tonight, most developers like me, if you're in that right position, you're wanting a site, but you just don't want any site. You want a good site. So that's a big part of what my clients do, is they're sourcing the site. Okay. But with the option, they're tying that site down with minimal dollars, sometimes as little as $1,000. They're tying it down and they're negotiating a long settlement, 12 months, 18 months. Then on top of that, they're getting a 90-day due diligence period. That means a developer can come in, they can pick it up, and they've got 90 days to do their due diligence to work out, okay, what can we get on this site? Is it a good deal or not? And they're not going to have to fork out hundreds of thousands of dollars to actually purchase that site. So that's a big part of what we do, and why is it so attractive? So Cheryl, having those two parties. So some people say, why would a developer pay? Why would a developer pay your clients for a site? Well, those that are developing, those that know the profit, the bottom line, they're happy to share, a very, very small percentage of that profit if they can lock down a great site with some great terms.
Yeah. And so and terms are a big thing for development, particularly the time to be able to, and I really like that you've got this 90-day DD period, and then you've got a long settlement. How do you ensure, because different developers have different needs. So some might say, I want it subject to DA, or actually I want it subject to CC. Right?
Yep.
So what happens in those situations? Like, are you able to go back to the owner to say, actually, can I have it subject to, or this is what they get? You've got this amount of DD time, this amount of exercise time. That's it. You've got to work with that.
Pretty much, Cheryl. So it depends who you're playing the game with. So we're generally looking for the high quality developer, someone who's experienced, someone who's professional, generally not a novice. Okay, even though we can also cater to those people, but generally we want a professional, someone who's been developing for 5 years, 10 years. They know, they can look at a site, they can flick it to their team, they can quickly say, oh, okay, we can do this, we can do that. It may not be guaranteed. It's never guaranteed until you have a DA, a CC, a permit. And even then, Cheryl, the real developers in the room tonight will know, even if you've got a CC, even if you've got a permit, even if you've got all your approvals, once you turn soil, anything can happen. You could find anything on site. Well, Cheryl, yourself, once you get started. So, it's a great question you ask. Generally, we're not coming with those, with that sort of parameter. But keep in mind, we're also only signing call options. All right. And then what's a call option? What's a put and call option? So for those that don't know, a call option means, we have the right, but not the obligation to sell on the property. It means we can go in, we can go through that 9-day DD period, and then we can move along to the settlement period. In that time, if we wish to pull out, we can pull out. Yeah. So many people are familiar with the put and call option. That means we're forced to settle. So we don't want that. So it's about managing that risk, Cheryl. Mostly developers that are taking our sites, they're pretty cluey. They know they're going to get a deal, a good deal. Let's just say something didn't work out, they can pull out.
Yeah. And I mean, a put and call option is similar to almost like your standard sales contract, but the benefit is, particularly in New South Wales, maybe not so much in the other states, that delays your stamp duty payment.
It defers it. Yeah, it defers it somewhat. Yes.
Yeah. And that's another benefit of, I guess, people that are going in and securing these options. Again, I go back to how it's actually a really great strategy for beginners, because they're not having to pay stamp duty for a $1, $2, $3 million property. That becomes part of the developer's responsibility.
Correct. Yeah. So that's something for the solicitors. So I don't get involved in those topics. Anything legal or accounting, finance, I won't get involved in that. But you're right, Cheryl. If you have the right entity, the right setup, things are done in a particular way with your solicitor hand holding you through every step. That is correct. Yeah, with the stamps. So yeah.
Definitely get legal advice in every situation. But these are some of the things to just sort of think about in terms of whether it's, obviously from an accounting perspective. But let's, some of the questions that come up, Joe, are around, how do you even get people to agree to an option? Like, how do you even explain that to people? Because everyone's so used to a contract of sale, and then you go up to tell them, hey, I'm going to give you $1,000 for your property. Who agrees to stuff like that?
Yeah, it's funny. In my 7-day program, I talk about leather jackets, yellow leather jackets and black leather jackets. And we're both wearing black, Cheryl. That's quite interesting. It looks like black anyway. Sorry if it isn't. But, so everybody has a preference. People have things they like, things they don't like. Most of the people in this community or, people in this space might be thinking, I would never do that. I don't like it. It's not for me. Well, we're not pitching to you per se. Now, for my real estate agents in the room, my real estate agent friends, I love you all and please forgive me, but there are people out there who just don't like agents, Cheryl. It's not me. I love agents, but there are people out there who just refuse to deal with agents. That's the first advantage that we have. Okay. Secondly, there are people.
Asians, but he likes Asians as well.
So say again for me.
I was saying you said agents, not Asians. Just
this happened to me before. It's because of my foreign.
You love them all. That's what I'm saying.
I love them all. I love all cultures. That's right. Being a foreigner myself, yes. Agents, Agents. Thank you, Cheryl. Not the beautiful Asians like yourself. So look, thank you, Cheryl. So look, guys, some people, just don't want to deal with real estate agents. Not at all. Secondly, they like the extended settlement. It seems crazy to us, but they're like, oh yeah, I want to have my last Christmas in my house. I want to clear my yard. These people often have buses in the backyard, caravans, couple of old V8 motors and a tractor, and they'll have all sorts of stuff that they want to clear out. Okay. And it gives these people certainty. I mean, as you know, interest rates went up today. Yes. Some people may be nervous about that. Some people may not be. For these owners, they're happy to lock in a price. I want to lock in the price. I've got certainty. Now I can go on to the next stage of my life. So it's yeah, I find it's often the real estate agents who are most skeptical about this process because they're used to negotiating in a certain way. They're used to doing their, presentations, appraisals, signing people up on a sole agency. It's nothing like that. It's a completely different process.
Yeah. And how do you, and this is the question you get, I'm sure you get all the time, how do you determine the perfect place to do this? Like, where is my golden pot of land that I'm going to execute this?
Yeah, so I love it, Cheryl. I love that question, and I think that goes in the analysis paralysis bag. So anyone out there who's suffering or has suffered, like myself, analysis paralysis, just let Cheryl know. I used to read a book before you paint a wall. I want to paint my wall. I better read the book first in case I do it wrong. But yeah, look, it's one of those things, So a whole part of what I do, Cheryl, is getting people into action. So people who use words like, I want to find the perfect spot, I want to find the golden opportunity, or what's the best opportunity? I couldn't answer that. And I think some people may pretend they have the answer or, delude themselves they have the answer. You've just got to put your best foot forward. So how do we do that, Cheryl? Well, we do our market research to make sure that we find, a very good spot, a very good suburb where there's activity. That's the first thing we do. The second thing is we make sure that we can do a project that's code accessible. What does that mean? It means we're not going for a rezone. We're not trying to fit 40 townhouses when we can only do 3. We're not doing anything like that. We just want to do, what the precedent will allow us to do in the area. We're not pushing any boundaries or envelopes. And then we do a feasibility. We do our numbers. So those that have been to my programs will know when it comes to the numbers, I have a very particular saying for how we do the numbers. The numbers we do, it's a potential profit for a proposed project. And some people might want to write that down. And, you've done projects, Cheryl. Anyone in this room now who's done projects, at the start, you look at the bottom line, you say, I'm going to make this. And then you don't know what you're going to make till the end of the project. So
yeah,
we do the best we can, Cheryl.
Yeah, and is it a matter of, you talk about doing feasibilities, and I'd like to touch a little bit on that. Is it a matter of almost reverse engineering what the profit and the numbers that a developer would have to then determine what you would offer?
100%. 100%. That's right. That's
what you as the option holder would make.
Correct. Yeah. So again, you would know, Cheryl, but of course, when you're doing a feasibility, when you're looking at numbers, some numbers can move and some numbers won't. Example, contributions. Council contributions is going to be fixed. A lot of other costs will typically be fixed. What can move? Well, your retail sales, your end product, the sale of that may move. And of course, Cheryl, what we can offer the owner, the price. So you're absolutely right. We do reverse engineer it. I believe that, why does a deal not work, or why do properties don't sell? You see a property on the market, even on market for so long. I believe it's only 2 things. Number 1, price is too high. Number 2, there's something wrong with it. That's the way I think. Those properties that are there for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Either they want too much or something's wrong with it. So,
and I noticed as well that your end product of choice is subdivisions. Well, land without anything on it. Why have you gone with that model as opposed to love you shares? Oh my goodness, I've got fans too, and Joe. Don't forget Joe. Why subdivisions and not townhouses or apartments? Because you can do options on anything, but you've chosen specifically complete land subdivisions?
Yeah, so in my starter training, the 7 days, yes, we focus on land subdivisions, and I encourage all newbies, all people starting out in this, either to target subdivisions or just a splitter, 1 into 2, or a duplex, something very, very simple. When you start going into townhouses, it does get complicated for the new player because they have to work out the construction cost, whether it's low spec, medium spec, high spec, and then relate that to the retail, the sell price of the end product. We do teach that. We have a feasibility for it, but I do suggest it's only for advanced players. Apartments, Cheryl, no, I'm not interested. I believe that space is too competitive myself. You can make just the same money in land subs, townhouses, splitters. It's the same amount of work as well. I feel like most owners, I don't know if your viewers can relate, I feel that most owners who own an apartment site, already they're thinking, sky high, like really big numbers. That's my experience. So I stay away from apartments.
Yeah. And would you say as well, I guess, in terms of the cost for a subdivision, would be fairly standard from a per lot perspective, as opposed to, building an apartment or a townhouse where there's so many variables in the build?
It is fairly standard, yes. It depends who you are, of course. Contributions can be different in different areas. Depends, what you have on site, but generally, yes. Apartments also take, 3 years. You look in 3 years, 4 years. It's more of a long-term play if you're going to develop it.
Yeah, yeah. So, Joe, I know everyone's sort of itching to really see some of this in action, sort of some live examples of how you've been able to apply it in the real world, because it does happen. Options have been around for a while, and not that it's not rocket science, but you've got to have an understanding of how the power of options, because you can basically craft it whichever way you want. But it's how you can use it, like I said, to the advantage of yourself and the client as well. So let's have a look if you can share some of the projects that you've worked on before, and maybe walk us through some of how you acquired the site or secured the site, and then how you eventually ended up flipping it.
Yep, gotcha. So can you see it okay, Cheryl? It's popped up?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great. So yeah, so this is my first option deal. Okay, so this is on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. I was surprised, Cheryl. I showed this in one of my trainings, and someone actually knew where it was. Like, I know where that is.
Oh, wow.
I saw it happening, which is quite interesting. This is about 15 minutes north of Foster, 15 minutes south of Taree, just to locate it. It's near a spot called Diamond Beach. This was very, very simple, Cheryl. It was a 1 into 2. Very, very simple. This site, it was 5,500 meters squared, massive site. I optioned it with $1,000. All right, $1,000. Now on this site, I could have cut it up into 10 lots, 20 lots. I could have done whatever I wanted, but I looked at the market research, and I decided it was quickest, easiest, just to cut it into 2. That's what the market wanted. The market wanted big lots. So yeah, take note here, people who are watching in. Never succumb to that trap. Like, I'm going to go for the highest lot yield. You have to look at profitability. You also have to look at, can you shift that site? This is very important. So yeah, I cut this into, Cheryl, on the right-hand side there, I sold the lot. On the left-hand side here, that house, that's a relocatable home. It was actually my home on another site that I had. So I cut it in half, put it on a semi-trailer, and I took it up there and dropped it on site, renovated it. Say again?
Was there an existing property on the site?
Not on this, no. It was just land.
Oh, okay.
It was just land. Yeah, land only. It was a new release. It was actually in a place called Tallwoods. It's a golf estate. Some people will know that. So I dropped this on, put the driveway in, and sold both sides, made $100K. So it took about, say, 6 to 9 months, that one there. So that was my first one.
Did the driveway cost as much as the house?
No, but thanks for asking. The driveway cost 20K, I remember specifically. The house, it looks pretty good there. You should have seen it before I sheeted it and put the roof on. It was pretty rough. But up in Queensland, it's very, very popular to do this. There's actually people who have them in lots. Like you can go there and look at 10, 15 different relocatable homes. Very, very popular in Queensland. So yes, that was the first one there.
Fantastic. It would have been really great to watch the house being relocated on a big semi-trailer. Is that what happened? It popped it on a semi.
It's pretty amazing what they do. Yeah. So the house has got to be on piers. It's amazing what they do. Yeah. They do it at night because of less traffic. They have escorts and the whole thing. It's it's amazing. They stitched it up. You could hardly see, the split in the gyprock. Just incredible.
Wow.
What they do, yeah. Yep.
Well done. And I think that was really innovative of you to sort of think outside the box to say, I don't have to build a new product here. I don't have to build a new house. I can use something that's already existing. And so you sold that house with the driveway?
Yeah, correct. So if you see you can see sort of a fence on sort of left side, right side. So on the right side there, that's where the other lot is. So it was 2 lots. I think this lot was about 3,200. This one, and the other one was about 2,3. So big lots, and there's actually a creek out the back there where that tree line is. You could you could hear the creek. It was really, really quite nice. If you like that sort of thing, really, really quite nice.
It's lovely. Alrighty, let's have a look at it.
Cheers. So this one here is just a duplex. So it was a 400K profit. This one was not with an option. Okay, just showing you some of the projects that I've done. I think sometimes people may be thinking, duplex, I can make $1 million, I can make $2 million, things such as this. I don't know. Again, some of your viewers might be able to educate myself. But I believe the duplex market is pretty competitive Australia-wide. If you're picking up a site today or in the last, say, 6 months, 12 months, you're looking to turn out a duplex, I believe you might make somewhere between, say, 200 to 500 on it, depending what you're doing. Some people are saying they're making $1 million, $2 million in a duplex. I'd love to find out why. But that was just another example of a project that I did.
I think that's a great topic for a duplex project.
Yeah, I agree, Cheryl. It's just showing. Yeah, I'm just trying to show, as you know, Cheryl, because you know me. But I'm a guy who I'm reasonable. Like I'm straightforward. I'm reasonable. I'm not going to be spruiking any big numbers or I made $1 quadrillion in the one deal. It's just a reality check, I think.
Yeah. I'd say a 400K profit is still pretty good. Someone said here, as Joe mentioned, quite common in Queensland. He's talking about the relocatable home.
Yes.
In this market, when the construction cost is terrible, relocatable homes are more valuable than ever. Yeah, I'm wondering how much sort of extra business these relocatable home businesses are getting in the current
There's some
market.
beautiful ones. There's some beautiful homes up there. Yeah, up in Queensland, say north side. Some beautiful homes. All right. So this was another option deal. Okay, this is land flipping. Okay, so which some people have heard of. So you've got this is in Kellyville. Okay, believe it or not. So I believe it's one of the platinum suburbs in Sydney, which just goes from strength to strength. Okay, we've got 2 lots here. We've got number 15 there, Mowbray Circuit, and number 25. So 25, there's a house there. I didn't build the house, so it was a block of land. So these 2 blocks of land, essentially, one of my mates was doing a project. He needed some cash. I signed for these 2 sites under option. I sat on them for about 18 months, and then I flipped them out, sold them to the market. I made 500K. So that was a no-brainer. That was probably my easiest project ever, where I did nothing, no renovation, no DA, no nothing. I was in the right place at the right time. The market was good to me. But again, just showing people what's possible with options.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are the ones I'd love to hear as well, like we don't necessarily need to always be aiming for the big numbers. Because if you can think about sort of, I know you've got a few examples here, whether you're making 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 on one option deal, not forgetting if you're securing it for $1,000 and some legals, that's an incredible return on your investment. So it doesn't necessarily
you can't argue with that.
It doesn't need to be huge millions of dollars.
Yeah, agree. I think it's just changing people's thinking to how it works. So especially if you're in with developers, if you know developers, if you're in with developers, developers often are going to need quick money often. So if you're in the right place at the right time, you can find deals like this. Yeah,
absolutely. And can you share some of the ones that some of your students have done as well? So I can say that, they've learned the process of putting these deals together and what sort of, results they've been able to get from it as well.
Absolutely. So these are some results from the last 12 months. Okay, so this is just straight option flipping. So this is Mandy here. So last year Mandy flipped a 30 townhouse site, okay, in Brisbane surrounds. That was one deal. She flipped it for 70K. Okay, so it was it was a really good deal. I think some people on here actually know who this lady is. She's quite well known. She's been in the space for quite a long time. She has a deal right now. It's in Broadbeach Waters. It's a duplex site. Okay, so she's looking to offload that site. She's looking for 90K for the option. Okay, so those people that know the area, it's a prestige area. This site is amazing, Cheryl. It's basically a corner lot, and it has jetty access.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it has jetty access. So if anyone wants to reach out to Manny, if you're interested in that, reach out to her. But she's looking to pick up 90K on that one, 90K for the flip.
And say for the deals that Mandy's secured, are they off-market or on-market properties?
Yeah, great question, Cheryl. So these are all off-market, okay? So, I want people to be very clear about that. So they're all off-market. So part of my process involves a good old-fashioned letter. I know some people are, might be cringing about that, the letters, but we're old school. I'm 45. I'm not young, not a young girl like you, Cheryl. We're sending letters out, getting calls in. Say again, I missed that.
I'm glad I've deceived all of you.
Absolutely, you've deceived us all. But we're sending out letters. So that's our strategy. Everything is off market, truly off market.
Mm-hmm. And
okay, so that's
the reason why they're off market as well. I guess if you can sort of dive in, if you've got something that's listed by an agent, it's on realestate.com or domain, why is it not as easy or preferable to secure under an option?
I'm just losing you a bit, Cheryl. If you can just repeat that, please. I missed that question.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure it seems to be working. All right, I'll repeat that. Why is it preferable to secure it off market as opposed to on market, where there might be a real estate agent involved?
Yeah, for a number of reasons. So firstly, the most critical thing here about doing this off market is that you're dealing directly with an owner. So there's no middleman. So every negotiation, when you talk to them on the phone, when you're face to face, you know exactly what's going on. You can hear their voice, you can read the body language. So you're negotiating with a real person. There's no middleman. And the way we negotiate, the way I teach negotiations, it's all around rapport building and essentially maintaining a friendship or a friendly demeanor. So it's not aggressive. We're not trying to lowball. There's no sort of tactics involved here. So it's about creating and maintaining rapport and looking for a win-win situation. All right. Now, again, apologies to all my agent friends out there, but when an agent is involved, it becomes a little bit of, whispering game. So, you're over here, the seller's over here, you're saying something, seller's saying something. You don't really know if the messages are getting through or not. Then on top of that, some agents are just scared of options, unfortunately. Some agents and also some solicitors are just petrified of options. Basically, it's fear of the unknown. For agents, some don't like it because they may get their commission at the end. That's a big part of it. I have had clients who have involved agents. Often we would look to pay them up front. So they can be more favourable. With one of my clients' deals, he did sign a deal through an agent. The agent wouldn't take the property off realestate.com. So when people were looking up on the deal, they were like, "Oh, this is on market. This is listed." So we spoke to that agent and we asked him to take it down, and he did. And my client transacted the deal. So
fantastic.
Yeah, it's a different. It just makes it a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about agents, we talked a bit about marketing, DD and all of that. And it's good to see, like I said, people are we're not aiming for the huge profits. Mandy's got her $70,000, project there. She's got another one that's got 90,000. Like you only need a few of these to make some good money in a year without exposing yourself to the risk.
Absolutely. Agree with that totally, Cheryl. So there's all different types of investment you can make. So there's financial money, there's sweat equity, there's time. So the investment here in monetary terms is very low. So Mandy's deal, it was optioned with $1,000. $1,000 to the seller and about $2,000 for the legals. All right. Now, where's the work? It's looking for the deals. So finding that deal, that's where the work is.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Cameron, thanks for joining us, Cameron. Some people don't want to some people don't want to leave the property in 3 months, and some people don't want to have to prepare their property for sale, particularly if they're an older family or an older resident. These people sometimes like an option deal, and not all agents are nasty. Sorry, Cameron. We're talking about you. You're definitely
good day, Cameron. Cameron's actually in my program, so welcome, Cameron. Good to see you here. Totally agree with it.
And do you find that, particularly if you're targeting that land subdivisions, that you are dealing generally with sort of people, if they're in areas where there might have been farms or they might have been larger subdivisions, that they've been there for quite a long time?
Yeah, it's preferred. Yeah, it's definitely preferred. So the other thing I teach on my clients, Cheryl, is that not to be under any misconceptions that you're the first person to send them a letter or the first person to knock on their door or make them an offer. So that they would have had many offers, many people come through. So by us listening to them, building rapport, looking to see, hey, what do you want? What are you looking for? How can we come to a deal? We're approaching it in a completely different way. We're not there to dictate terms to them or to bully them. And I think that's why we're having such a great success with our method.
Yeah, you've got to really like your tea and coffee and sitting down.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever else comes out, wine, homemade sausages, whatever's there, you have to have it. Moon cake on Friday, I think it is. So whatever's coming out, you've got to have it.
I'm there for the moon cake. So Joe, I mean, I know for a lot of people, again, options are sort of a little bit out there. They need to get their head around it. How do you create a sort of a structure or a system so that it's easily digestible and you can work through and go, I've done this, and this to get to this point. And if I follow that, I've got a much higher chance of success. How does that look like?
Yeah, so essentially, feel free to take a photo of this. Those that wish to, this is how I think about options and a process. So this is in a very specific order. Now, I know some people in the room, Cheryl, maybe many people will question this. Oh, you've got to do the numbers first. You've got to do the DD first, or everyone's going to have their way of doing things. And my favorite question to ask for those people is, okay, how many options have you signed? So if you've signed 10 options, 20 options, I'm happy to hear from you. But this is a system that is working for myself and my clients. So we're doing great market research. We're hunting those deals. We're doing our numbers. If that looks good, we'll go to the owner. We'll make an offer. If they accept our offer, we'll do a desktop due diligence, WFUDIG, look on council websites, etc. Then we'll look to lock it down. So we use the heads of agreement. We get a solicitor involved. We sign the option. Once we've done that, we sell the deal. All right. So the real crux of this, Cheryl, is getting someone to agree to some of those very basic terms. The most critical terms for us are extended settlement and that low commitment fee.
Yeah.
If you can get an agreement on that, you've got the ball rolling, and not to sort of focus too much on the price.
Yeah. Okay.
Like if you want to get married, you have to wine and dine them first. You don't just say, "Oh, how you going? Let's get married." It's a bit sudden. It's a bit sudden, right? So
yeah.
It's a bit sudden. So you need to sort of get in there, build the rapport.
And it's the art of negotiation, that whole, if I'm able to do this, are you able to do this? So if you want to be able to get a higher price or whatever, we talk about price, I will need to have a longer settlement date, or that
Exactly.
that you can take in negotiation.
You need to find someone who's reasonable, Cheryl.
We've got a question here. Joe, how long do you usually give yourself to do the deal from the first conversation to signing the deal?
Yeah, interesting question. So I wouldn't really handle that question in that way. It's not really about a time. It's about listening to what they're saying. So I have a very particular process that I teach my clients through a first call, second call, third call, meeting. We have a very stringent system that we use. There's a process and a methodology to do things. So how long do I usually give myself to do the deal? From the first conversation to the signing, I've had some clients who've taken 6 months, 9 months, and others who have taken 4 weeks. So it depends on a number of factors. Firstly, how skilled the person is trying to sign the deal. Secondly, what is that seller like? What's their personality? What do they like? And also then the solicitor. This is a huge one, Cheryl. It's that the other party solicitor.
Yes.
That's why we use a team of solicitors who I believe are the best in Australia. So essentially solicitors who can help manage the other party solicitors, which is really important. And then while the solicitors are having their conversation up here, I instruct my clients to have a conversation here with the seller. Because solicitors will try to take over and pull the strings, but essentially it's the seller who makes all the decisions.
Yeah. And just on that point, I mean, I've definitely seen solicitors who have broken, basically broken the deal because they, one, didn't understand options, and two, basically talked the client out of it. But at the end of the day, what the client agrees on is a commercial decision. And the solicitor can only advise as to, I guess, the potential risks, but they shouldn't necessarily be shying away from options if they knew what options are.
Yeah, agree. I have conversations with my solicitor all the time. She tells me, "Oh, Joe, these are the risks. You shouldn't do this. I wouldn't do this." I said, "It's okay. I'm doing it."
It's up
and
to
away we go. Yeah.
Thank you for answering. Yes, solicitors definitely can stuff up the deal. They sugar, and this is why it's good to be surrounded by people that are doing options, because the great thing with options, there's so much flexibility in it. And I've seen and I've found that it's helpful to be surrounded by people who understand options, and you can brainstorm solutions to how to put a deal together, which I guess is a good segue. Joe, if you can share with us a little bit about the program that you have and how you're able to guide people through how to actually secure options and make a good living out of it as well.
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. Yeah, I really had a bit of a laugh when you said your group is the sexiest group in Australia. So, Cheryl has the sexy group. When you come with me, it's not necessarily sexy, but we are getting down and dirty. What do I mean by that? I mean, we're doing the work.
Yeah.
All right. So this will work, Cheryl, if people are prepared to do the work. Okay. So it's just a matter of following these steps. We walk you through every step in detail. Okay. So we walk you through each step in detail, tell you what to do, how to do it. But on top of that, we keep it simple. So a big part of what I do, what I pride myself on in all areas of my life, is keeping things simple. I don't try to impress people with jargon or, acronyms or, big words, little words. I don't make up words. I try not to anyway. If I do, it's because I have terrible English. But, it's very straightforward. It's simple. It's direct. It's about doing the work. So it takes about 10 hours a week. The bulk of that work is looking for sites, getting those letters out. That's the bulk of what we do.
Yeah. Joe, I will have to say my little 7-year-old son said to me as he was going to bed last night, he says, "Mum, do you know how to convince people?" I said, "How?" He goes, "You have to use high modality words." And I was like, right, I don't know what high modality words are, but there you go. Words from a baby, high modality words. Google that if you don't know what it is, but apparently that's the way you convince people. So as part of negotiations, that's that's what you use. But no, that's right. You don't have to use fancy words, not high modality words. Just keep it straight. Keep it like someone said here, Joe cuts the BS approach. Love Joe's cut the BS approach. Yes, absolutely. And the thing is that most vendors, well, all vendors want to feel that they can trust what you're saying and that you're not hiding behind a whole lot of smoke and mirrors.
Absolutely, sure. And a big part of what I teach is the mindset. So it's a big part of it. So I meet many people who are already, having huge success in areas of their life. They might have a few properties. They might be very skilled in their work, and they sort of come to me and say, "Oh, Joe, I don't know if I can do this, and I'm not very good." And I can relate to that because I went through those challenges and that journey as well in my life. But I find that once you can get someone to believe in themselves, that they can do it, that it's simple, that it's possible, and they're running with a team of people who are doing it, that we've got people bringing deals forward every week, which is a great inspiration for others in our community. So it's handling some of those limiting beliefs, those mindset blocks. So people asking, why does the owner do it? And the interest rates went up, and why would they do it? And Cheryl, we can always ask ourselves questions like, why this won't work? Why won't it work? What's the worst that can happen? Or we can ask ourselves questions like, why will it work? Or what's the best that would happen? It's sort of those, it's that mindset shift that you really need to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Joe. And I think there's been enormous value that you've shared. Obviously there's a bit more to options than what we've discussed. And so if you're wanting to find out a little bit more, reach out to Joe. You'll see him on Facebook. His contact details, joe@riseupproperty.com.au. You can see the banner on the bottom there. Find out, definitely do a 7-day challenge. I'm not sure when your next one is, but you've just finished one.
Yeah, we set the date. We have set the date today. But best thing to do is reach out to me either via email or Facebook, and we can give you all the details. Absolutely, yeah. So thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you, everyone. Well, thanks, Joe. It's been fantastic chatting with you. Appreciate all the value and your knowledge that you've shared. For those of you who enjoyed it, please comment below, give Joe a bit of a shout out, kudos to him as well. And if you've been enjoying our sessions, also subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Business of Property, where you can find all our other episodes. And if you found value in today's show, also subscribe as well and hit the like button. Thank you, Joe. We'll see you again very soon because I owe you a lunch and it will be my shout. All right. Until next time, everyone, keep well and take care. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Bye.